So transitioning from the world of receiving W-2 income to becoming a 1099 employee can be a confusing and somewhat difficult process. From the employee benefits to the different regulations and taxes, there's really a lot to know and a lot that separates these two types of employment. So in this video, I'll be giving you a full comparison between W-2 income and 1099 income so that by the end you fully understand the differences and the implications of each one. So starting off, what is a W-2 employee? Well, I think it's important here to just cover the fact that W-2 and 1099 are the names of two different forms that are going to be used for reporting your income. So if your income is reported on a W-2 form, then you are a W-2 employee. If it's reported on a 1099 form, then you are what's called a 1099 employee or an independent contractor. Now with both of these, you're kind of looking at a trade-off between the benefits you receive and the taxes that you're going to be paying on your income, which we're going to get into in just a little bit. Now if you're receiving a W-2 form, you are considered an employee of that company. If you're receiving a 1099, that is not going to be the case. Now with a W-2, you're typically paid a consistent salary every 2 weeks, every month, however often you are paid. And if you're going to work either full-time or part-time, odds are you are a W-2 employee. Now, as a W-2 employee, there are a host of benefits that you're going to be able to take advantage of that 1099 independent contractors are not going to have the luxury of. The largest of which is going to be the employer programs that you're going to have access to as an employee. These include retirement plans, health insurance, paid time off, and even overtime pay if you're working more than 40 hours per week. Now, as a 1099, you're typically not going to have access to those, but more on that later. You're also going to be guaranteed a minimum wage if you are at an entry-level position, and this is something that's been very controversial among 1099 employees, 1099 independent contractors that we've seen with Uber and these different ride-sharing companies playing out over time. And in general, the stability here is going to be really attractive to older people or people who have more responsibilities, more dependents that they need to be taken care of. They need that consistent stream of income every 2 weeks. Now, on the taxes side, as a W-2 employee, you're looking at a much easier tax situation than your 1099 counterparts. This is because your employer mostly takes care of your taxes. Now, as a W-2, you fill out a W-4 when you start your employment, which basically tells the employer how much money to withhold from your paycheck every 2 weeks for your taxes. This is going to include both your income taxes and your Social Security and Medicare taxes or your payroll taxes. These are going to be automatically withheld from your paycheck and sent off to the IRS on your behalf. And also, your employer is paying half of your payroll taxes for you, which is not a luxury you're going to have as a 1099 contractor. What this basically means is you really only have to worry about your taxes once per year on April 15th, and you're typically going to be getting a refund because you withheld too much money during the year, sent that off to the IRS, and they're basically giving you a refund of that money that you overpaid. Now, a 1099 employee, on the other hand, is what's called an independent contractor, and technically, if you're a 1099, you are self-employed and you are not employed by that company. Now, on the benefit side, there's really one big benefit that comes with being a 1099 independent contractor, and that is the flexibility that you're going to have when compared to your W-2 counterparts. You're typically going to be able to decide how, when, and where you get your work done, which is a big difference from W-2 employees that just have to show up to work every day, 9 to 5, they're at their desk, and then they get to go home and enjoy their weekends. If you're 1099, you typically are not going to be having such a set structure. You're going to have a lot more flexibility with your time and the work that you choose to do. For example, YouTube creators are paid on a 1099 basis, so I have a lot more flexibility. I'm not an employee of YouTube. I just show up, I make some videos, I make some money, and it's not like I have to be somewhere 9 to 5 every single day. Additionally, as a 1099 contractor, you can typically also hire people underneath you to help you get work done if you would so choose. For example, on my YouTube channel, I've got an editor here that is making these videos look pretty and cutting out all of the stupid stuff I say so that you don't have to sit through that. In general, you're going to have a lot less stability, though, with your 1099 income as opposed to your W-2 income because there's not those programs in place like a minimum wage, like employee benefits, healthcare, all of that stuff. You're not going to have that, so you really have to plan for that stuff yourself, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Typically, that makes 1099 positions more attractive to younger people like myself that don't have dependents, that don't have all these responsibilities, all these bills every single month. I live a lot leaner of a lifestyle, so I don't have to worry so much about having that stability. Now, on the taxes side of things, if you are a 1099 contractor, it's a bit more complicated than your W-2 counterparts, and that's because there is no employer withholding. So your employer is not planning for your taxes at all because, again, they're not really your employer. They're just someone who's cutting you a check every single month. So you're basically just getting one big check with all of your income on it. So with YouTube, for example, YouTube sends me one check every single month with all of my income on it. There's no taxes withheld, so I have to actually plan plan for that myself and figure out, okay, how much am I going to owe in taxes? And let's start setting that aside for myself. So when tax day does come around, I actually have the money and I don't have to like scramble to put it on a credit card or something. So in general, what I personally do is I self-withhold from myself. Okay, I self-withhold taxes. I put those things aside in a separate bank account entirely where I know that I'll have that money ready come tax season. So if you want to learn more about that process, I kind of detail that in my 4 steps to take once you get paid on YouTube video, which you can find up here. But the process of self-withholding doesn't just apply to you if you're a YouTuber. Anytime you're making 1099 income, it's probably a wise choice to start putting aside that income and planning for that tax bill ahead of time because you know it's going to be there. Now, additionally, the person cutting you a check every month is not going to be helping out with your payroll taxes. So instead of just paying half the payroll taxes, you're going to pay 100% of the payroll taxes. These are also sometimes known as self-employment taxes. Even though it's the exact same thing, you're just paying both halves of it instead of just paying one of those halves as you would if you were a W-2 employee. So in general, that's going to add about 7 to 8% in taxes to your tax bill every single year. So really what you're looking at here with your 1099 versus your W-2 is a trade-off between stability and flexibility. You kind of have to prioritize which one matters more to you right now, and that's going to really lead your decision. So now that you know how getting paid in these 2 methods works, the next thing you should do is check out this video over here where I dive deep into income taxes for self-employed people. If you're on a 1099, you're going to want to watch that video. It's an ultimate guide to everything you need to know about your income taxes because, like I said, this is just kind of scratching the surface. There's a ton that's different in terms of your taxes. So watch that video. It's going to give you a ton of clarity, and I'll see you over there.